Hello, I'm David Breeden. I'm the senior minister at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, which is a humanist congregation, and this is Coffee and Wisdom, summer style, in which we meet live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. This week, I'm looking at exercise is good for well, what is it good for? Well, not just any kind of exercise. On Tuesday, I was talking about writing in journals and writing every day. The good old-fashioned line from Pliny the Elder, nulla dies sine linea, not a day without a line. And as I mentioned on Tuesday, this is something that I've lived by for many years, of always writing every day something. And I keep, as I mentioned before, a variety of journals around, and of course, a word processor these days, in order to keep writing every day. And anytime I have an idea, I jot it down and try to make it legible enough that I can read it again in a week or two. But that's the idea there, is to exercise the mind, take notes on your reading, be mindful of where you are, look around you, write about what's around you. Now, you may have heard the old joke. Someone from the Midwest comes up to a police person in New York City. "Officer, how do I get to Madison Square Garden?" In which the officer says, "Practice, practice, practice." And that, of course, is how you get to Madison Square Garden, and with your instrument or with your voice. Practice, practice, practice. A big part of spiritual practice is doing it as much as you can, make it a habit, and doing it every day. Well, one of the things we can do is mindfulness. This is, we've talked about this before in Coffee and Wisdom. It is the gathered wisdom of various religious traditions that removing the beliefs, the dogma, the creeds, and going for just what does this do physically for you, and is it a good idea for that reason? And we call it mindfulness. We don't call it Taoism, Buddhism, Christian centering prayer, or any of those things, just mindfulness. And yes, you see it everywhere around you. It's a very popular thing, but it's also something that actually does work. How do we know this? Well, I just went to the Mayo Clinic site and said, "What's mindfulness?" And they told me. You can look this up as well, but Mayo Clinic isn't about religion. It isn't about spirituality per se. This is about the physicality, the good health benefits of what we call mindfulness these days. What Mayo says is mindfulness is a type of meditation in which you focus on being intensely aware of what you're sensing and feeling in the moment without interpretation or judgment. Practicing mindfulness involves breathing methods, guided imagery, and other practices to relax the body and mind and help reduce stress. Nowadays, there's an app for that everywhere, all kinds of apps that will help you with your mindfulness practice. And as I mentioned on Tuesday, writing in that notebook, again, purely what occurs to you in your mind and what you're seeing around in the physical space, your senses, just writing those down without any judgment and without any pushing that you're wanting to write a masterpiece or get a Pulitzer Prize. Just letting it enter your brain and in some way dealing with that. Mayo goes on, spending too much time planning, problem solving, daydreaming, or thinking negative or random thoughts can be draining. It can also make you more likely to experience stress, anxiety, and symptoms of depression. Practicing mindfulness exercises can help you direct your attention away from this kind of thinking and engage with the world around you. As I've mentioned before, I have been meditating for many years. Back 40 years ago, when I started doing meditation, really people thought that you had to be a Buddhist about it, because the Buddhist practices were about the only game in town at that time. But nowadays, there are lots and lots of different ways to do these mindfulness exercises. So meditation It has been studied in clinical trials, says Mayo, and it helps reduce stress, anxiety, pain, depression, insomnia, and high blood pressure, hypertension. And also, it may, some studies indicate that it helps with asthma and fibromyalgia. So, what is bad about all of fixing these things? How do you do that then? Well, this, as I've mentioned before, the Stoics were doing it a very long time ago. The Buddhists were doing it a long time ago, and the Taoists have been doing it for more than 5,000 years. It's not all that complicated, but it is something that requires sitting down and actually doing it and getting it then into a practice, practice, practice. Also, it improves attention, it decreases job burnout, improves sleep, and improves diabetes control. So yes, it's all good for you. We've talked before a little bit about the idea that, well, all right, Silicon Valley may have been using mindfulness in some ways that they're not exactly what we would call spiritual or religious, are they? Like decreasing job burnout or increasing job satisfaction. But all of this, you'll have to agree, I think, is a good thing. Well, what does Mayo say that we need to do about this? Let's forget about Taoism, Buddhism, and Stoicism and just look at what studies have indicated. Number one is pay attention. The whole thing about mindfulness is slowing down. The example mentioned here is, put that spoon down and think a little bit, and then pick up that spoon and actually enjoy the food that you're eating. Smell it, taste it, enjoy the texture, rather than just gobbling it down because that's what you do at this particular time of day. Every religious tradition will tell you the next one, live in the moment. Try to intentionally bring an open, accepting, and discerning attention to everything you do. Find joy in simple pleasures. Be here now is the good old-fashioned 1960s way of saying that, but now is the only time you actually have. The Stoics and everyone else says this, that your power is in finding where you are right now and then acting from that place. And also, almost every religious and spiritual tradition will tell you this third one, which is accept yourself and treat yourself the way you would treat a good friend. Don't be beating yourself up. And also this one, focus on the breathing. Why is that? Well, it's because as human beings, we have a lot of things going on. Our heartbeat, that's a little bit hard to deal with. So what do we do? Well, we can focus on our breathing because we can speed that up, we can slow it down, and we can do it in different ways. One way to do that is to be sure to be breathing through your nose, although some traditions do, especially Hinduism, do teach ways to breathe through your mouth to vary the different ways that you're breathing. So some structured mindfulness exercises. Here's one that says really pretty easy. Lay down on the floor or on the bed if you have a hard time getting off the floor and focus on your body. Start at your tippy toes and work up, just mentally scanning your body, saying, well, how's my ankle today? And getting into your body by doing that. Oh, I think my knee is a little bit stiff today. There may be something, one of the joints in my fingers, really look at how your body is doing and get, again, into that moment of actually being embodied inside your body. Of course, the great one is sitting meditation. Sit down and no, you don't have to be in a full lotus position. That's not required. Sit down in a comfortable place of some sort. Put your both feet on the floor and then begin breathing through your nose and noticing how your breath can work, and then begin to notice what your thoughts are. And within that, you stop judging your thoughts. Oh, well, no, don't think that. Go ahead and think that, but call it a thought. And then walking meditation that I've mentioned before. This is something that Thich Nhat Hanh, the great Buddhist meditator, brought to the United States. Walking meditation, in which you can do it in various ways. I've been taught to walk in small circles, inside or outside, either one, and actually noticing how your feet are going down and up, down and up, and getting really into the moment. Walking in circles is a good idea so that you don't walk into the furniture and you don't have to worry about that. No, just think about how you are walking. If you are one of those people who just can't sit still, this is a perfect way to do some meditation. Going back to Buddhism, however, Jack Kornfield is one of the great American Buddhist teachers, studied in Southeast Asia for many years. And he says to use this little mnemonic device, RAIN, RAIN. And he says this summarizes the way the Buddhists go about meditating. And I would say it's a very good way to go about mindfulness as well. What's RAIN? Well, number one is recognition. That is, where are you right now? I'm thinking, I'm sitting, or I'm walking. Where are you? Get in the moment, recognize where you are. Second is acceptance. Bad thought, don't worry about it. Just call it a thought and go on to the next one. So if you happen to be in some way caught up in some worry and that kind of thing, let it go, accept it, say that's a thought, and I'm going to get rid of it. How do you do that? Well, investigation. You think through what you're actually worried about. Now, this can be in certain psychological problems or challenges. This can be a little bit dangerous. And so if it in some way affects you adversely, every Buddhist teacher will tell you, and mindfulness teacher too, will tell you that you probably need to talk to a therapist, talk to a professional about investigating these ideas if you're going into some kind of memory work and that kind of thing. Investigate those ideas. Again, call them thoughts or ideas, dismiss them, let them go. And then by doing this, non-identification. We've talked about this before in Coffee and Wisdom. One of the great insights of Buddhism in particular is that we are not our thoughts. That voice in your head, and most people do have some kind of voice going on in their head, not everybody, but those who do, that voice is judgmental. The Buddhists call it monkey mind. It's telling you, oh, meditating is a waste of time. Doing this is silly. You need to get on to your next appointment, etc. Or maybe I need pecan pie instead of doing this. Whatever the monkey mind is telling you, you are not that thought and you don't have to obey it. And RAIN is a great way to practice mindfulness. And again, all you have to do to find out these ideas is to go to Mayo Clinic. And it is indeed scientific and medically proven mindfulness to be good for you. That's it for this week. Next week, I'm going to be starting a little section that I'm calling Onward, Upward, and in this one, I'm going to be looking at some of the ideas from the Unitarian and Universalist past that have changed over time because onward and upward being a famous one of the future is always better. And well, we've kind of discovered that may not be quite as true as we thought. So how has the ideas within Unitarianism, Universalism, and in humanism changed over time? Thanks a lot for listening this week. Our theme for this month is play. Yep, June is just about over. Join us on Sunday when we will be discussing the summer at First Unitarian Society, what's coming up. And also we'll be joining in the General Assembly for the morning assembly at General Assembly. And Rev Jim and Rev Kelly will be talking a little bit about what General Assembly is all about and what's going on. Thanks a lot. See you Sunday or next week. Bye-bye.